Title: How Everything Changes After You Save $10,000. What would actually change in your life if you had $10,000 sitting in your bank account, not invested, not locked away in retirement, just liquid, available yours? For most people watching this in the United States or Europe, that number feels close enough to imagine, but far enough to feel slightly unrealistic. And that gap quietly shapes your entire financial life. Let's talk about why. Imagine a 27-year-old living in Chicago or Manchester or Berlin. They earn $58,000 a year. Sounds solid. After taxes, health care, and deductions, that becomes roughly $3,400 per month. Now subtract the fixed costs: rent, $1,400, car payment and insurance, $550, utilities and internet, $250, groceries, $400, student loans, $300, phone subscription, streaming gym, $150. We're at $3,050 already. It leaves about $350. From that $350 comes dinners out, birthday gifts, occasional travel, unexpected expenses. Maybe a little credit card balance that never fully disappears. Most months, what's left is close to zero. Not because this person is irresponsible, but because this system is tight. And when your system is tight, one small disruption changes everything. A car repair, a dental bill, a job transition, a rent increase. Without savings, every inconvenience becomes a crisis. Now let's introduce $10,000 into this picture. Same income, same expenses. But this time, sitting quietly in a savings account, there's $10,000. Nothing dramatic happens on day one, but psychologically everything changes. The biggest difference isn't financial, it's emotional. When you have $0 in savings, every decision feels urgent. You take overtime shifts you don't want. You stay in jobs you dislike. You avoid negotiating salary because you can't afford risk. You hesitate to move cities or switch industries. You are technically employed, but financially fragile. That fragility shapes behavior. Now imagine you have $10,000. At $3,050 in monthly fixed costs, that's roughly 3 months of living expenses. 3 months of breathing room. You don't quit your job impulsively. You don't suddenly become an investor. You simply stop operating from fear. And that shift quietly compounds. Here's the hidden financial mistake most people make. They focus on upgrading lifestyle before upgrading stability. Let's say you receive a $5,000 raise. It's after tax. Maybe that's $3,500 extra per year. It's about $290 per month. Most people don't save that. They upgrade apartments. They finance a slightly newer car. They increase travel spending. That $290 disappears into recurring commitments. Their cost of living increases permanently, which means their financial stress stays exactly the same. The income changed. Fragility didn't. This is the system flaw. Income alone doesn't create security. Liquidity does. Let's do simple math. If you finance a $28,000 car at 6% over 5 years, you'll pay roughly $4,500 in interest. That's $4,500 paid for the privilege of not having cash. Now imagine instead that you had $10,000 saved before upgrading vehicles. Maybe you buy something slightly cheaper. Maybe you put down a larger down payment. Maybe you delay the purchase entirely. Even small reductions in interest and monthly payments can free up $150 per month. Over 5 years, that's $9,000, almost another full emergency fund. The difference between being financially stable and financially stressed often isn't about earning more. It's about reducing the cost of being broke. It's because being broke is expensive. Credit card interest at 22%. Buy dash now, dash pay, dash later fees. Overdraft penalties. High insurance premiums due to missed payments. Oh, when you don't have savings, you pay more for everything. Why do intelligent, educated people still fall into this pattern? Psychology. Humans value visible progress more than invisible security. A new apartment is visible. New car is visible. Vacation is visible. An emergency fund is invisible. No one compliments your savings account. No one posts photos of their liquidity. So the brain chooses status over stability, especially in cultures like the US and parts of Europe, where consumption is normalized and subtle financial pressure is constant. You're not trying to impress strangers, but you're trying not to fall behind peers. And falling behind is usually measured in lifestyle, not net worth. Now let's fast forward 10 years. Two versions of the same person. Version 1 never builds savings. They earn more over time, maybe $80,000 now, but their expenses scaled with income. Bigger apartment, better car, more subscriptions, private school considerations. They make good money. But if income stops for 3 months, the system collapses. Version 2 focused on reaching $10,000 early, then $20,000. They didn't dramatically restrict their life. They simply delayed upgrades until stability was built. Now, when an opportunity appears, a better job in another city, starting a small business, taking 6 months off to study, they can say yes. Not because they're wealthy, but because they're liquid. Liquidity creates optionality. Optionality creates leverage. Leverage increases income over time. It's subtle, but it's powerful. There's another change that happens after $10,000. You stop using credit emotionally. When your bank balance is near zero, a credit card feels like relief. When your savings is 5 figures, credit becomes a tool, not a lifeline. You pay balances in full. You avoid carrying interest. You evaluate purchases more calmly. The psychological shift is this: you no longer need money urgently, and urgency is what causes bad decisions. Impulse upgrades, risky investments, high-interest debt. Once urgency disappears, rational thinking returns. Financially intelligent people don't look dramatically different from everyone else. They often drive normal cars, live in ordinary apartments, take similar vacations. The difference isn't visible, it's structural. They think in terms of runway. How many months could I live without income? They think in terms of flexibility. Does this purchase reduce or increase my freedom? They think in terms of stress. Will this payment create pressure later? When you reach $10,000 in savings, you begin asking these questions automatically, because now you have something to protect. Before savings, the mindset is survival. After savings, the mindset becomes optimization. It's important to be realistic here. $10,000 doesn't make you wealthy. It won't generate passive income. It won't replace your job. It won't change your tax bracket, but it changes your posture. You negotiate differently. You plan differently. You tolerate less nonsense from employers, landlords, even yourself. And that behavioral change, compounded over 10 or 20 years, matters more than one lucky investment. If you ignore this stage and focus only on investing early with no cash buffer, small setbacks can force you to sell investments at the worst time. Market drops 20%. You need cash. You sell at a loss. Not because the strategy was wrong, but because the foundation was weak. Savings first, investing second. Not for growth, for durability. So what actually changes after you save $10,000? You stop reacting. You start choosing. You move from financial tension to financial stability. Stability quietly and without drama is what allows wealth to build. Not hype, not hustle culture, not extreme frugality, just structural calm. If this perspective helped you see money a little more clearly, consider subscribing.